Letting go sounds easy until you have to do it. Have you ever found yourself stuck in the past, replaying old conversations, holding on to a toxic relationship, or resisting change because it feels too uncertain? We tell ourselves that holding on keeps us safe, but the truth is, it often causes more suffering than letting go ever will. The more we cling to people, situations, or even old versions of ourselves, the more we become trapped in cycles of stress, frustration, and emotional exhaustion. Imagine this. You're carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks. At first, you barely notice the weight, but as time passes, it starts to wear you down, slowing you, draining you. You want to move forward, but the weight is too much. Letting go is like putting down that backpack. It's not about giving up, it's about freeing yourself. But how do you actually do it? How do you let go of things that feel so deeply ingrained in your identity? This is where Stoicism comes in. The Stoics understood that true peace comes not from controlling the world around you, but from mastering how you respond to it. They believed that detachment, perspective, and self-discipline were the keys to living a strong and balanced life. In this video, you'll learn 12 powerful lessons from Stoic philosophy and modern psychology to help you release what no longer serves you. You'll discover how to unlock the power of detachment without feeling cold or indifferent, when to step back to gain mental clarity, and how to create emotional boundaries that protect your peace. You'll also learn practical strategies for detoxing from negative influences, prioritizing what truly matters, and building a mindset that allows you to flow with change rather than resist it. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap to let go of toxic attachments, emotional baggage, and unhealthy patterns, so you can move forward with a lighter heart and a stronger mind. Stay with me until the end, because the final lesson might be the most important shift you need to make. If you find value in this, be sure to hit like and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom. And let me know in the comments, what's the hardest thing for you to let go of right now? Let's begin. Lesson 1. Unlocking the power of detachment. Letting go isn't about giving up. It's about reclaiming your peace. But how do you let go of something that feels like a part of you? A past relationship, an opportunity that slipped away, or a version of yourself that no longer fits? We often mistake detachment for indifference. But true detachment isn't about caring less. It's about freeing yourself from the need to control what's beyond your reach. The more you cling to something, the more power it has over you. And the more power it has over you, the harder it becomes to move forward. Imagine holding a handful of sand. If you grip it too tightly, most of it slips through your fingers. But if you hold it lightly, it stays in your palm. Life works the same way. When we try to force things to stay exactly as we want them, we create suffering. We attach ourselves to people, outcomes, and expectations, believing that they define us. But in reality, attachment is an illusion. Nothing is permanent. Everything is in motion. The only thing you can truly control is how you respond. The Stoics understood this well. Epictetus taught that suffering comes not from events themselves, but from our attachments to them. He said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This wisdom goes beyond material things. It applies to emotional attachments as well. When you let go of the need to control, when you stop expecting life to unfold exactly as you imagined, you gain true freedom. You become unshaken by circumstances, able to adapt without losing your inner peace. But how do you apply this in daily life? Start by identifying what you're clinging to. Is it someone's approval, a past mistake, the fear of an uncertain future? Often, what we hold on to isn't serving us, it's just familiar. Ask yourself, am I holding on to this because I truly need it, or because I'm afraid of who I'll be without it? If your attachment is causing stress, anxiety, or frustration, it may be time to release it. This doesn't mean cutting people off or ignoring your emotions. It means recognizing where your power lies. You can't control how others behave. You can't control the past, but you can control the way you interpret and respond to life's challenges. To begin practicing detachment, try this simple exercise. Take 5 minutes each day to reflect on something that's weighing on your mind. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, visualize yourself letting it go. Picture it as a balloon drifting away into the sky, or a leaf floating down a stream. This small mental shift can have a profound effect on your emotional state. Over time, you'll train your mind to stop clinging and start flowing with life instead of resisting it. There's a common fear that letting go means losing control, but in reality, it means gaining control. Control over your thoughts, your emotions, and your peace of mind. When you stop tying your happiness to external factors, you become unshakable. You stop reacting out of fear and start responding with clarity. You stop resisting change and start embracing it as a natural part of life. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop suffering over things you cannot change. The benefits of mastering detachment are life-changing. You'll feel lighter, as if a weight has been lifted from your shoulders. You'll experience fewer emotional highs and lows, finding a sense of steady inner peace. You'll stop overanalyzing people's actions and overthinking situations you can't control. Your relationships will improve because you'll no longer depend on others for validation. You'll make better decisions, unaffected by impulsive emotions or unnecessary worries. And most importantly, you'll cultivate a deep sense of freedom, the ability to navigate life's ups and downs with resilience, strength, and perspective. So here's a challenge. For the next 24 hours, whenever you catch yourself stressing over something, pause and ask, is this something I can control? If it's not, take a deep breath and remind yourself, I choose to let go of what I cannot change. It may feel unnatural at first, but with practice, this shift in mindset will transform the way you experience life. Letting go is a skill. The more you practice it, the more peace you'll find. Lesson 2. Stepping back for mental clarity. When emotions are high, clarity is low. Have you ever been so caught up in a situation that you couldn't see the bigger picture? When we're overwhelmed, our minds race. We replay conversations, overanalyze outcomes, and react impulsively, often making things worse. But what if the solution isn't to push harder, but to step back? True wisdom isn't found in the heat of the moment. It comes in the space between stimulus and response, in the ability to pause, reflect, and regain perspective. The Stoics believed that mental clarity comes from creating distance, not running away, but stepping back to observe situations without being consumed by them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. This is the essence of mental clarity, the ability to detach from emotional chaos and see things as they truly are. But in today's world, we rarely give ourselves that space. We react instantly to messages, we get pulled into drama, and we allow other people's emotions to dictate our own. Without realizing it, we become prisoners of external circumstances. So how do you step back? Start with a simple truth. Not everything requires an immediate response. When life feels overwhelming, when emotions are running high, take a breath. Physically remove yourself from the situation if you need to. Go for a walk. Close your eyes for a moment, or write down your thoughts. This creates space between your emotions and your actions, giving you time to gain perspective. Imagine a painter standing too close to their canvas. Up close, all they see are brushstrokes, imperfections, and messy details. But when they take a step back, the full picture comes into view. The same principle applies to your mind. When you create distance, you stop reacting impulsively and start responding wisely. One of the most powerful ways to step back is to practice the pause technique. The next time you feel triggered, whether it's an argument, a stressful email, or a frustrating situation, pause for 10 seconds before reacting. Count to 10, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what's the best response here? Not the quickest or easiest, but the one aligned with who I want to be. This single pause can prevent unnecessary conflict, emotional outbursts, and regretful decisions. It puts you back in control. Another powerful tool is perspective journaling. When you're feeling stuck in a problem, write about it as if you were giving advice to a friend. Imagine someone else coming to you with the same situation. What would you tell them? This practice helps you step outside your emotions and see things from a more objective lens. Most of the time, the answers we seek are already within us. We just need the mental clarity to find them. The benefits of stepping back are profound. You'll feel less controlled by stress and anxiety and more in control of your emotions. You'll improve your relationships by responding thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. You'll avoid unnecessary drama, make better decisions, and cultivate a sense of inner peace that isn't easily shaken by external events. And most importantly, you'll start living life on your terms, rather than being pulled in every direction by fleeting emotions and external pressures. So here's your challenge. The next time you feel overwhelmed, practice the pause technique. Take 10 seconds before you react. Observe your emotions, but don't become them. Create space, regain clarity, and then choose your response with intention. The more you do this, the more control you'll have, not over the world, but over your own mind. And that is where true power lies. Lesson 3. Setting emotional boundaries. Not all emotions you feel are yours to carry. Have you ever left a conversation feeling emotionally drained, as if someone else's stress or negativity became your own? Without realizing it, we often absorb the emotions of others, internalizing their anxiety, frustration, or sadness. While empathy is a strength, lacking emotional boundaries can lead to exhaustion, resentment, and even a loss of self. The Stoics understood the importance of protecting inner peace. Epictetus taught, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. In other words, no one can disturb your peace unless you allow it. Emotional boundaries are not walls that shut people out. They are filters that protect your well-being. They allow you to be present, to listen, to care, without sacrificing your own mental clarity. Think of it like this. Imagine you're standing in the rain without an umbrella. At first you might not mind, but over time you become soaked, uncomfortable, and cold. Emotional boundaries are like an umbrella. They don't stop the rain, but they keep you from being drenched in emotions that aren't yours to hold. So how do you set emotional boundaries in a way that is firm but compassionate? First, recognize when you're absorbing emotions that don't belong to you. If you often feel emotionally exhausted after interactions, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself, am I feeling this way because of my own situation, or am I taking on someone else's stress? Awareness is the first step to regaining control. Next, practice assertive communication. Many people struggle to set boundaries because they fear seeming unkind. But boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're about maintaining healthy relationships. If someone constantly unloads their problems onto you, leaving you feeling drained, try saying, "I care about you, and I want to support you, but I also need to protect my own energy. Let's talk, but can we keep it brief?" This approach acknowledges their feelings while clearly stating your limits. Another effective strategy is mental separation. When you're in a situation where emotions are running high, visualize a protective barrier around yourself, like a glass wall. You can see and hear the other person, but their emotions do not pass through to affect you. This simple mental practice reinforces the idea that while you can care, you don't have to carry. Emotional boundaries are also essential in relationships. If you feel responsible for someone else's happiness, it's time to step back. Love and support should be freely given, not driven by obligation or guilt. You cannot control how others feel, and trying to do so will only create frustration and burnout. Seneca wisely said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Often, our fear of setting boundaries is worse than the reality of doing it. The truth is, when you set healthy boundaries, your relationships improve. You show up more fully, without resentment, because you are no longer sacrificing your well-being. The benefits of setting emotional boundaries are life-changing. You'll feel less stressed and more in control of your emotions. Your relationships will be healthier, built on mutual respect rather than silent resentment. You'll stop overextending yourself, allowing more time and energy for what truly matters. Most importantly, you'll cultivate mental clarity and inner peace, a space where you are no longer at the mercy of external emotional turbulence. Here's a simple practice. The next time someone's emotions feel overwhelming, take a deep breath and say to yourself, "Their emotions are theirs. I can care without carrying." Repeat it as many times as needed. Over time, this shift in mindset will become second nature. Remember, emotional boundaries are not selfish. They are an act of self-respect. When you protect your energy, you create space for deeper connections, clearer thinking, and a more balanced life. Lesson 4. Knowing when to distance yourself. Not every relationship or situation is meant to last forever. Sometimes, the most difficult but necessary choice is to create distance. But how do you know when it's time to walk away? How do you distinguish between a temporary challenge that requires patience and a toxic situation that's draining your energy? Many people struggle with this because they fear guilt, uncertainty, or loss. But the truth is, staying in the wrong situations too long can cost you your peace, your growth, and even your sense of self. The Stoics believed in the power of conscious decision-making. They understood that we don't control the actions of others, only our responses to them. Epictetus said, We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. This means that when a situation or relationship consistently brings stress, resentment, or exhaustion, it's within your power to step back. Distance is not about cutting people off impulsively. It's about protecting your well-being and aligning your life with your values. So how do you know when it's time to distance yourself? Start by asking, is this relationship or situation contributing to my growth or constantly draining me? Growth isn't always comfortable, but there's a difference between constructive discomfort and persistent negativity. If an environment or relationship makes you feel trapped, anxious, or undervalued more often than it brings joy, it might be time to step back. Many people struggle with distancing themselves because they feel responsible for how others feel. They believe that if they pull away, they are abandoning someone. But setting boundaries is not selfish. It's necessary. When you hold on to something out of obligation, rather than genuine connection, resentment builds. You don't need to make a dramatic exit. Often, creating distance can be quiet and gradual, spending less time with a person, reducing engagement in draining conversations, or shifting your focus toward relationships and environments that align with your well-being. One of the most practical ways to test whether distance is the right choice is through a trial separation. Give yourself 2 weeks where you intentionally limit your interaction with a specific person or situation. Pay attention to how you feel during this time. Do you feel more at peace, more focused? Do you miss the interaction? Or do you feel relief without it? This simple practice provides clarity without the pressure of making a permanent decision. Sometimes creating distance isn't about ending relationships, it's about redefining them. If a relationship feels unbalanced, consider having an honest conversation about your needs and limits. Letting go of an old dynamic doesn't mean letting go of care or respect. It means allowing space for both you and the other person to grow in healthier ways. The benefits of knowing when to step back are profound. You stop wasting energy on relationships that deplete you. You create space for clarity, peace, and deeper connections with the right people. You learn to trust yourself instead of staying stuck in situations that no longer serve you. And most importantly, you take control of your own well-being rather than waiting for others to change. So here's your challenge. If there's a relationship or situation in your life that feels draining, try a 2-week trial separation. Observe how you feel. Do you feel lighter, more at ease? Or do you realize that the connection was more of an obligation than a source of fulfillment? Distance isn't about cutting people off. It's about choosing yourself. And when you do, you create space for what truly matters. Lesson 5. Building trust through meaningful conversations. Trust is not built through words alone. It is built through meaningful conversations. Have you ever shared something deeply personal with someone, only to feel unheard or judged? Or perhaps you've held back from opening up because you feared how the other person would react. In a world full of distractions where conversations often stay at the surface level, genuine connection has become rare. But true relationships, whether friendships, family bonds, or professional connections, are strengthened through honest, thoughtful communication. The Stoics understood that real growth happens in deep, intentional dialogue. Seneca wrote, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." In other words, surround yourself with people who challenge you who push you to grow, and who engage in conversations that bring clarity, not confusion. Conversations should not just be a way to pass time. They should be a way to exchange wisdom, refine our thoughts, and strengthen our character. But in order to have meaningful conversations, we must first learn to listen. Not just hearing words, but truly listening, without interrupting, without waiting for our turn to speak, without mentally preparing a response while the other person is still talking. The Stoics practiced deep listening as a form of self-discipline. They understood that understanding must come before responding. When we listen with intention, we show the other person that their thoughts and emotions are valid, and in return, they are more likely to trust us with their truth. Trust is fragile. It is built over time through consistency, through a willingness to be open and receptive, and through conversations that feel safe, honest, and free of judgment. But how often do we rush through conversations? How often do we deflect real topics with humor or dismiss someone's struggles with a quick, "it'll be fine"? We must ask ourselves, am I truly present in my conversations, or am I just going through the motions? One of the greatest barriers to meaningful conversations is fear. Fear of being vulnerable, fear of saying the wrong thing, fear of being misunderstood. But vulnerability is not weakness. In fact, it takes strength to be open, to express how we feel, and to invite others to do the same. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, and the quality of your thoughts is shaped by the conversations you have and the people you engage with." If we surround ourselves with those who uplift, challenge, and inspire us, our inner world becomes richer and more resilient. But how do we put this into practice? Start by making space for deeper conversations. Instead of defaulting to small talk, ask meaningful questions. Instead of merely giving advice, ask, "How are you really feeling about this?" Instead of rushing to fix a problem, simply say, "I hear you." That sounds difficult. These small changes create a foundation of trust. Another powerful tool is the pause technique. When someone shares something personal, resist the urge to respond immediately. Take a breath. Let their words sink in. Sometimes silence creates space for deeper reflection. It shows that you are not just waiting to speak, you are absorbing what was said. The benefits of meaningful conversations are profound. You will strengthen your relationships, deepen your understanding of others, and create an environment where trust can thrive. You will find that when you give others space to be honest, they will do the same for you, and in the process, you will build a life surrounded by people who see you, hear you, and respect you. So here's your challenge. The next time you have a conversation, practice active listening. Put your phone down. Maintain eye contact. Resist the urge to fill silences. Instead of waiting for your turn to speak, focus on understanding. Ask deeper questions. Give space for honesty, and most importantly, be fully present. Because the quality of your conversations will determine the quality of your relationships, and ultimately, the quality of your life. Lesson 6. Mastering emotional boundaries. Not every emotion you feel is yours to carry. Have you ever found yourself feeling anxious or overwhelmed after spending time with someone, as if their emotions had somehow become your own? It happens more often than we realize. Without clear emotional boundaries, we absorb other people's stress, negativity, and problems, often at the cost of our own peace. But Stoicism teaches us that while we can care about others, We must remain in control of our own inner world. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This applies not only to external events, but also to the emotions of those around us. We cannot control how others feel, but we can control how much we let their emotions affect us. Emotional boundaries are not about shutting people out. They are about protecting your energy so you can show up as your best self. Many people fear setting boundaries because they associate it with being cold or unkind. But the truth is, boundaries allow you to be more present in your relationships. When you constantly take on other people's emotional burdens, you become exhausted, resentful, and disconnected from your own needs. Instead of supporting others in a healthy way, you end up feeling drained. Think of it like carrying a heavy backpack. At first, it may not seem like a big deal, but over time, the weight wears you down. Emotional boundaries lighten the load, allowing you to help others without sacrificing yourself. So how do you set emotional boundaries without guilt? First, recognize when you're taking on emotions that aren't yours. If you often feel overwhelmed by other people's problems, ask yourself, am I feeling this way because of my own situation, or because I've absorbed someone else's emotions? Awareness is the first step to regaining control. Next, practice assertive communication. If a friend or co-worker constantly unloads their problems onto you, leaving you feeling emotionally drained, it's okay to set limits. You can say something like, "I care about you, but I also need to take care of my own well-being. Let's talk." But can we keep it brief? This approach shows empathy while establishing clear boundaries. Another effective strategy is mental separation. When you're in a situation where emotions are running high, visualize a protective barrier around yourself, like a glass wall. You can see and hear the other person, but their emotions do not pass through to affect you. This simple mental practice reinforces the idea that while you can care, you don't have to carry. Emotional boundaries are especially important in close relationships. If you feel responsible for someone else's happiness, it's time to step back. Love and support should be freely given, not driven by obligation or guilt. You are not responsible for fixing or saving others. You can offer kindness and guidance, but ultimately, people must take responsibility for their own emotions and actions. Seneca wisely said, "You must live for yourself, not for the opinion of others." This is an important reminder when setting boundaries. Many people struggle with guilt, fearing that saying no or stepping back will make them seem selfish. But prioritizing your emotional well-being does not mean you don't care. It means you respect yourself enough to protect your peace. The benefits of mastering emotional boundaries are life-changing. You will feel more in control of your emotions, less drained by others, and more present in your interactions. Your relationships will improve because they will be built on mutual respect, not silent resentment. And most importantly, you will cultivate a sense of inner peace and clarity, no longer at the mercy of other people's emotional turbulence. So here's your challenge. The next time you feel overwhelmed by someone else's emotions, pause. Take a deep breath and remind yourself, their emotions are theirs. I can care without carrying. Repeat it as many times as needed. Over time, this shift in mindset will become second nature. Remember, emotional boundaries are not selfish. They are an act of self-respect. When you protect your energy, you create space for deeper connections, clearer thinking, and a more balanced life. Lesson 7. Detoxing from social media. Your attention is your most valuable asset, But in a world designed to distract you, how often do you truly own it? Social media has become an endless stream of stimulation, notifications, opinions, comparisons. It keeps your mind constantly engaged, yet rarely at peace. You pick up your phone for a moment and suddenly an hour disappears. You scroll, consume, react. But do you feel fulfilled, or do you feel drained, anxious, and distracted? The Stoics believed in protecting mental clarity by guarding their minds against unnecessary noise. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You must reclaim yourself for yourself." The world distracts you with many things. Focus on a few that matter and let the rest go. Today, social media is one of the greatest distractions, pulling us away from presence, deep thought, and real-life connections. It creates an illusion of connection, while often leaving us feeling more isolated. It gives us infinite information, but little wisdom. The more time we spend consuming, the less time we spend reflecting, creating, and truly experiencing life. Have you ever noticed how social media affects your mood? One moment you're fine. The next, you're comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel. You see a post that frustrates you. You read a comment that shifts your emotions. Without realizing it, your mind is being shaped by algorithms, external validation, and the constant need for engagement. But Stoicism teaches us that peace comes from within, not from external approval or digital distractions. If we allow social media to dictate our emotions, we surrender control over our own minds. So how do you detox from social media without cutting yourself off completely? Start by identifying your triggers. Do you reach for your phone out of boredom, stress, or habit? Do you check social media first thing in the morning or right before bed? Awareness is the first step to reclaiming control. Once you recognize the patterns, you can start setting boundaries. One powerful practice is the 24-hour detox. For one full day, avoid all social media platforms. Notice how you feel. Do you feel calmer, more focused? Do you miss anything important, or do you find yourself more present in real life? Many people realize that stepping away from social media reduces stress, improves focus, and creates a sense of freedom they hadn't felt in a long time. Another approach is curating your digital environment. Unfollow accounts that don't add value to your life. Reduce exposure to negativity, endless news cycles, and content that fuels comparison. Instead, follow people and pages that inspire, educate, or bring real value to your life. Social media should serve you, not control you. Setting specific time limits can also make a huge difference. Instead of mindlessly checking social media throughout the day, designate set times to engage with it, perhaps only in the evening or during a specific break. When you create structure, you prevent social media from consuming your attention. The benefits of detoxing from social media are life-changing. You'll experience less anxiety, more focus, and deeper connections in real life. Your mind will be clearer, no longer overstimulated by the constant influx of information. You'll find yourself more engaged in meaningful conversations, more creative in your thoughts, and more present in your daily experiences. Most importantly, you'll regain control over your attention, one of the most powerful things you own. So here's your challenge. Try a 24-hour social media detox. Use that time to read, reflect, go for a walk, or simply enjoy the stillness. At the end of the day, ask yourself, did I really miss anything important, or did I gain more than I lost? The answer might surprise you. Social media isn't the enemy, but when used without intention, it becomes a distraction from the life that truly matters. Let go of the noise, reclaim your focus, and rediscover the clarity that comes from being fully present. Lesson 8. Prioritizing your core needs. If you don't prioritize your core needs, no one else will. In the rush of daily life, it's easy to get caught up in responsibilities, expectations, and distractions, often at the expense of what truly sustains us. We push ourselves to meet deadlines, to please others, to chase goals. Yet, how often do we stop and ask, am I taking care of what truly matters? Without clarity on your core needs, you risk living a life that feels busy but not meaningful, full yet not fulfilling. The Stoics believed in focusing on what is essential and letting go of what is not. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." True fulfillment does not come from chasing more. It comes from nurturing what sustains your mind, body, and soul. Your core needs are not luxuries, they are the foundation of a balanced, meaningful life. Many people confuse wants with needs. A want is external, it's temporary, like a new gadget, social approval, or fleeting entertainment. A need is deeper. It nourishes you on a fundamental level. It could be mental clarity, emotional balance, quality relationships, self-reflection, or physical well-being. When these needs are neglected, life starts to feel overwhelming. Stress builds, exhaustion sets in. You begin feeling disconnected from yourself and from what truly matters. So how do you prioritize your core needs in a world that constantly demands your attention? Start by identifying them. Ask yourself, what activities or experiences make me feel truly alive and at peace? What, when neglected, leaves me feeling drained or unfulfilled? The answer is different for everyone. For some, it may be time alone to recharge. For others, it could be meaningful conversations, creative expression, time in nature, or a sense of purpose through work or service. Once you've identified your needs, the next step is to make time for them, intentionally. You will never find time for what matters. You must create it. If self-care is a core need, schedule it like you would an important meeting. If deep connection is important, prioritize real conversations over digital distractions. If mental clarity is essential, make space for quiet reflection, whether through meditation, journaling, or simply slowing down. One of the biggest barriers to prioritizing your needs is guilt. People often feel guilty when they take time for themselves, as if they are neglecting their responsibilities. But prioritizing your well-being is not selfish, it's necessary. When your needs are met, you show up stronger, more present, and more capable in every area of life. Neglecting your needs does not make you more productive or selfless. It only leads to burnout, resentment, and imbalance. Seneca reminds us, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." How much time do we waste on things that do not truly matter? How often do we sacrifice what fulfills us for what merely distracts us? Prioritizing your core needs is not about doing more, it's about doing what matters. It's about shifting your focus from external validation to internal fulfillment. The benefits of prioritizing your needs are profound. You will experience less stress, more energy, and a greater sense of purpose. Your relationships will improve because you will no longer feel stretched too thin. Your mind will be clearer, your emotions more balanced, your actions more intentional. Life will feel less like something you have to manage and more like something you truly live. So here's your challenge. Make a list of your top 5 core needs. Next to each one, write down one small action you can take this week to prioritize that need. It could be as simple as setting boundaries, carving out time for reflection, or saying no to commitments that drain you. The key is to start small and stay consistent. Because when you make time for what truly matters, everything else in life begins to align. Lesson 9. Practicing gratitude and presence. Gratitude and presence are two of the most powerful practices for mental clarity and emotional balance, yet they are often overlooked. In a world that constantly pushes us to chase more success, more recognition, more possessions, it's easy to focus on what's missing instead of appreciating what's already here. This endless pursuit creates anxiety, dissatisfaction, and a sense that happiness is always just out of reach. But the Stoics knew that true peace is not found in external achievements. It is found in the ability to fully experience the present moment and appreciate what we already have. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You must realize that the present moment is all you ever have. Waste it, and you waste your life." This is a powerful reminder that life is not lived in the past or future. It is lived right now. When we dwell on regrets or worry about what's to come, we miss the only moment that truly exists, the present. Gratitude and presence go hand in hand. When you are fully present, you naturally become more aware of the small moments of beauty, the simple joys, and the things you often take for granted. Think about how often you rush through your day without really noticing it. You drink your morning coffee while scrolling through your phone. You walk outside but don't feel the breeze on your skin. You have a conversation but barely listen because your mind is somewhere else. This lack of presence not only disconnects you from life, it creates stress, restlessness, and a sense of always chasing but never arriving. Gratitude is the antidote to this. It shifts your focus from what you lack to what you have. It reminds you that despite life's imperfections, there is always something to appreciate. And gratitude is not just about thinking positively. It is a deliberate practice of noticing and valuing what is already good in your life. The Stoics understood this well. Seneca said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." When you practice gratitude, you stop waiting for some future event to bring you peace. You begin to see that peace is already available to you right now. You will experience less stress, more energy, and a greater sense of purpose. Your relationships will improve because you will no longer feel stretched too thin. Your mind will be clearer, your emotions more balanced, your actions more intentional. Life will feel less like something you have to manage and more like something you truly live. So here's your challenge. Make a list of your top 5 core needs. Next to each one, write down one small action you can take this week to prioritize that need. It could be as simple as setting boundaries, carving out time for reflection, or saying no to commitments that drain you. The key is to start small and stay consistent. Because when you make time for what truly matters, everything else in life begins to align. So, how do you bring gratitude and presence into your daily life? One of the simplest yet most effective practices is the 3 blessings exercise. Each day, take a moment to reflect on 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big. Sometimes the smallest things bring the greatest sense of joy. Maybe it's the warmth of the sun on your face, a kind word from a friend, or the fact that you have another day to grow and experience life. Writing these down or saying them aloud helps train your mind to focus on abundance rather than scarcity. Another practice is mindful awareness. Throughout your day, pause for just a few seconds and ask yourself, am I fully here, or is my mind somewhere else? Bring your attention back to what you're doing, what you're feeling, what you're experiencing right now. This small habit can transform even ordinary moments into something meaningful. The benefits of gratitude and presence are profound. You'll feel less anxious, more centered, and more appreciative of the life you already have. Your relationships will deepen because you'll truly listen and connect with others instead of being distracted. You'll stop feeling like you're constantly chasing something and start realizing that you already have enough. So here's your challenge. Pause right now and think of 3 things you're grateful for. Say them out loud. Then, as you go through your day, take small moments to slow down and be present. Notice the details, the sounds, the colors, the sensations. The more you practice this, the more you'll realize that peace, contentment, and joy are not found somewhere in the future. They are available to you right now. All you have to do is notice. Lesson 10. Cultivating flexibility and adaptability. Life rarely goes as planned. No matter how carefully you prepare, how much you try to control outcomes, or how deeply you hold on to expectations, change is inevitable. The question is not if change will happen, but how you will respond when it does. Flexibility and adaptability are essential for maintaining inner peace in an unpredictable world. The Stoics understood this well. They knew that rigidity leads to suffering, while adaptability leads to freedom. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is the foundation of resilience. You cannot prevent obstacles, but you can choose your response. When you resist change, when you cling to what was instead of embracing what is, you create unnecessary suffering. But when you learn to flow with life rather than fight against it, you become unshakable. Think about a tree in a storm. The trees that stand rigid and refuse to bend are the ones that break. But the trees that sway with the wind, that adjust and move with the storm, survive. The same is true for you. The more you resist change, the harder life feels. But the moment you stop clinging to a fixed idea of how things should be, you free yourself. You let go of frustration. You embrace what is, and you move forward with clarity and strength. How often do you find yourself frustrated because things didn't go according to plan? Maybe someone disappointed you. Maybe a goal took longer than expected. Maybe life threw an unexpected challenge your way. The natural reaction is to resist, to push back, to wish things were different. But Stoicism teaches a different path. Instead of wishing reality were different, learn to adapt to reality as it is. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. So how do you cultivate flexibility in your daily life? Start by shifting your mindset. Instead of seeing change as a threat, see it as an opportunity. Every challenge holds a lesson, if you're willing to look for it. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? How can I grow from this? This shift in perspective transforms frustration into wisdom. Another powerful practice is the 3 A's: accept, assess, adapt. Accept what has happened. Resisting reality only wastes energy. Acceptance does not mean approval. It means recognizing what is so you can respond wisely. Assess your options. Instead of focusing on what went wrong, focus on what you can do next. Adapt by taking action based on what is within your control. For example, imagine you lose a job, a relationship ends, or a personal plan falls apart. You could dwell on the loss, wishing things were different, or you could accept that the situation has changed, assess your next steps, and adapt to move forward. The more you practice this, the stronger and more resilient you become. The benefits of cultivating flexibility are life-changing. You experience less stress and anxiety because you stop trying to control what you cannot. You become more emotionally resilient, able to navigate challenges without feeling overwhelmed. Your relationships improve because you stop expecting perfection from others. And most importantly, you develop an unshakable sense of inner peace, because your happiness is no longer dependent on external circumstances. So here's your challenge. The next time something doesn't go according to plan, pause. Take a deep breath and remind yourself, this is an opportunity to grow. Ask yourself, what is within my control? Then focus only on that. The more you practice this, the more you will realize that true strength is not found in control. It is found in adaptability. Lesson 11. Fostering empathy and generosity. Empathy and generosity are often seen as acts of kindness toward others, but in reality, they are just as beneficial to the one who practices them. In a world that often prioritizes personal success and individual achievement, it's easy to forget that true fulfillment comes not from what we accumulate, but from what we contribute. The Stoics understood that being of service to others, not out of obligation but from a place of wisdom and strength, leads to a life of deeper meaning and connection. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What we do now echoes in eternity." Every act of kindness, every moment of understanding, every time you choose to give rather than take, you create a ripple effect that extends far beyond yourself. And yet, many people hesitate to practice generosity because they feel they have little to give. They think of generosity only in terms of money or material possessions. But in truth, generosity takes many forms. Giving your time, your attention, your patience, your wisdom. These are gifts that can transform both your life and the lives of those around you. Empathy, at its core, is about seeing and understanding another person's perspective without judgment. It is not about agreeing with everything someone says, nor is it about taking on their emotions as your own. It is about offering presence and understanding, recognizing that, like you, every person you meet is struggling in some way. Seneca said, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." This reminds us that no act of empathy or generosity is ever wasted. Even the smallest moments, offering a listening ear, encouraging a friend, being patient with someone who is struggling, can make a profound difference. But how does this relate to letting go? The ability to let go of resentment, judgment, and the need for control makes space for true generosity and empathy. Holding on to anger or expecting people to act exactly as you wish only creates frustration and emotional exhaustion. When you let go of these expectations, you open yourself to a more compassionate way of living, one that benefits not only others, but also your own peace of mind. One of the most powerful ways to practice empathy and generosity is through intentional listening. In conversations, do you truly listen? Or are you simply waiting for your turn to speak? The next time someone is talking to you, practice being fully present. Put away distractions. Make eye contact and listen, not to respond, but to understand. This simple habit strengthens relationships, builds trust, and makes others feel seen and valued. Another way to cultivate generosity is through daily acts of kindness. This doesn't have to be grand or complicated. It could be as simple as sending an encouraging message to someone, helping a colleague, or offering a sincere compliment. These small acts shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance, reminding you that there is always something to give. The benefits of practicing empathy and generosity are immense. You will experience less stress and anxiety because you are no longer caught up in small frustrations or self-centered concerns. Your relationships will improve because people will feel your presence and sincerity. And most importantly, you will feel a deeper sense of purpose, knowing that your actions contribute to something greater than yourself. So here's a challenge for you. Find one small way to practice generosity today. Offer a kind word, listen more intently, help someone without expecting anything in return. Then notice how it makes you feel. The more you do this, the more you will realize that true wealth is not measured by what you have, but by what you give. Lesson 12. Nourishing your mind and body. Your mind and body are the foundation of everything you do. If you don't take care of them, everything else suffers. Your focus, your energy, your emotional well-being. In a world that constantly demands your attention, it's easy to push self-care aside, believing that productivity and external achievements matter more. But the truth is, without a strong foundation, nothing you build will last. Seneca once said, "The mind that is anxious about future events is miserable." A restless mind, cluttered with stress and distractions, robs you of peace, and a neglected body, deprived of rest and proper nourishment, leaves you vulnerable to exhaustion. The Stoics understood that caring for yourself isn't a luxury, it's a necessity for living a disciplined and meaningful life. So how do you nourish both your mind and body in a way that aligns with Stoic principles? It starts with what you consume, not just physically, but mentally. Just as eating unhealthy food weakens the body, feeding your mind with negativity, mindless distractions, and endless noise weakens your clarity and resilience. Every day, you have a choice. Do you consume content that enriches your mind, or do you let distractions dictate your mental state? Marcus Aurelius advised, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If you constantly expose yourself to stress-inducing media, superficial entertainment, and unhealthy comparisons, your mind absorbs that negativity. But if you deliberately seek wisdom, reflect on meaningful ideas, and engage in thoughtful conversations, your mind becomes a place of strength and clarity. Nourishing your body follows the same principle. You don't have to follow a strict diet or intense workout plan. What matters is consistency, small, intentional actions that support your well-being. Movement is essential. A simple daily walk, stretching, or even standing up and breathing deeply can do wonders for your energy and focus. The goal isn't to achieve a perfect body, it's to give yourself the physical strength to engage fully with life. Rest is just as important. In a culture that glorifies overwork, many people wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. But burning yourself out isn't a sign of strength. It's a failure to set proper limits. The mind cannot function clearly when deprived of rest. Seneca reminds us, "The greatest wealth is a poverty of desires." This applies to how we treat our bodies as well. The need for endless stimulation, whether through caffeine, digital distractions, or overworking, only leads to more exhaustion. True strength comes from balance. If you find yourself constantly drained, ask, am I taking care of myself, or am I just pushing forward on autopilot? One simple way to reset is to start your morning with stillness instead of stimulation. Before reaching for your phone, take a moment to breathe deeply. Drink water. Move your body. Let your mind wake up naturally instead of being bombarded with external noise. Practicing this kind of self-care doesn't just benefit you, it benefits everyone around you. When your mind is clear and your body is well rested, you show up as a calmer, more thoughtful person. You react less impulsively, make better decisions, and experience life with greater awareness. So here's a challenge for you. Today, choose one way to nourish your mind and one way to nourish your body. Read something that expands your thinking. Move your body with intention, and notice the difference in how you feel. The more you cultivate these habits, the more resilient and centered you become, no matter what life throws your way. Letting go is not about giving up. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of what you can't control. Throughout this video, we've explored powerful Stoic principles: detachment, emotional boundaries, mental clarity, and the importance of nourishing both mind and body. We've seen how stepping back can give you perspective, how setting limits can protect your peace, and how true strength comes from adaptability and presence. At its core, Stoicism teaches us that we are not defined by external events, but by how we choose to respond to them. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When you detach from what drains you, set boundaries that protect your well-being, and cultivate inner stillness, you reclaim that power. So, how do you put these lessons into practice? Start small. Choose one principle from today's video and apply it. If you're constantly overwhelmed, take a step back and ask, is this within my control? If negativity from others drains your energy, establish emotional boundaries. If distractions consume your mind, take time to reset through movement, stillness, or mindful reflection. Each small shift adds up, shaping a life that is calmer, clearer, and more intentional. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Letting go doesn't mean detaching from life. It means engaging with it fully, without being controlled by it. When you embrace this, you don't just find peace, you find freedom. If this video resonated with you, consider subscribing to Stoic Teachings today for more insights on applying Stoicism to everyday life. Hit the like button if you found value in these lessons, and share your thoughts in the comments. What's one thing you're ready to let go of today? Let's continue the conversation. Thank you for watching. Stay present, stay strong, and remember, the greatest power lies in how you choose to live.